On July 19th, 1977, the world teacher, the Christ Maitreya, head of the spiritual hierarchy, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the masters of the wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood.
Good morning and welcome to our World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Presented by Teresa and David on behalf of Share International New Zealand.
Today we have some wonderful stories about angels, miracles and healings. We start with a book review by Bette Stockbauer, sourced from the December 1993 issue of Share International magazine. The book is titled Witness to His Return.
An 11-year-old girl lies dying of spinal meningitis in the hospital. The doctors tell her parents to leave because their daughter is going to die an excruciating death. Alone in her room, blind and surrounded by pain, the young girl hears a voice. "Laura, turn over." Turning, she sees Jesus.
She can't look at his face because it is too bright, but notices that his skin is dark and his hair auburn. They talk, and she watches his hand reach out and touch her twisted leg. When the nurses later realize she has regained her sight, they call the doctors. Everyone calls her the miracle child. The 11-year-old girl is now a grandmother and has seen Jesus twice since that day.
Dozens of such encounters are described in G. Scott Sparrow's stunning book, Witness to His Return, ARE Press 1991. Since the early 1970s, Sparrow, a Virginia-based transpersonal counselor, has had visions and dreams of Christ. They have guided and inspired his life.
Many years of study with the Edgar Cayce Group, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, ARE, and his own counselling practice introduced him to others with similar experiences. In 1989, he and fellow ARE researcher Mark Thurston decided these stories needed to be shared. Those who had kept them secret from fear of censure needed a voice and support system, Sparrow believed.
Sparrow has documented over 300 such experiences to date, and says that they seem to be on the rise in recent years. He has found that the accounts can be arranged in several categories, including initial awakenings to a spiritual life, physical and emotional healings, intimate instructions, both personal and transpersonal, initiation experiences in which an individual is faced with a crucial test, and confirmation experiences that offer praise and reassurance.
In story after story, the Christ is seen as a master teacher and healer. Through metaphor, imagery, and powerful emotional experience, he imparts experiences that are unique for each individual. Some encounters are deeply mystical and symbolic. Some are experiences of pure energy and light. Some present an obvious message. Others leave unanswered questions. Sometimes he appears as the biblical Jesus, robed and sandaled. At times he comes in a form least expected.
A unifying factor in all of the accounts is the perception of unconditional love. Throughout the book, this is described as the great and primary force of healing. A recipient may feel personally unworthy of the experience, but often finds the power of complete acceptance so compelling it dissolves all resistance.
One woman dreamed of wandering in the dark, herself untroubled, but warned by anxious people all around her that a terrible storm was going on, and to keep away from the ocean. Doubting this, she decided to go to the ocean and see for herself, but no one else would go along. As she approached the sea, The darkness lightened, and she found herself in the basement of a lighthouse. There a man in his 30s with a beard and long hair nodded as she approached. She knew he was the lighthouse keeper.
Leaving the lighthouse, she walked on towards the sea to a white sandy beach. The ocean was calm and glistening. The sun shone, and white clouds floated by. She was overwhelmed by the beauty of it all, and happy in knowing there was nothing wrong with the ocean.
Returning to the lighthouse, she spoke to the keeper. "I don't understand. All these people told me not to come here. It's so beautiful. They don't know what they're missing. You take care of this place, don't you? Why don't more people come? It's always safe here, isn't it?" "Yes," he replied. "I am always here, and it is always safe." Then he became very gentle as he explained, "People have to find their own way to me."
At that point, the woman knew the lighthouse keeper was Jesus. Feeling surrounded by love and happiness, she told him, "I'm so glad I came here. I will never leave you."
Some light-hearted encounters show a whimsical side to those experiences. One woman, after seeing Jesus, asked, "How can I reach you again?" He answered, "I am in the phone book." Thinking he would be listed under Emmanuel, she found the dictionary definition to be, "God is present in the world."
Contrary to the notion that only saints and mystics have visions, most of the stories are told by people who describe themselves as ordinary in every way. Many are left wondering why they were chosen for such a special event. Many feel unworthy to the call, but remember their vision in detail throughout their lives. Sparrow thinks that an individual's ability to meet the Christ depends on openness to the experience. Jesus said, "I stand at the door and knock." He will not enter our lives unbidden. There may be many invitations that we simply fail to acknowledge.
Sparrow writes, "I have found that there is a pivotal moment in the unfoldment of deep mystical experiences in which the individual either surrenders or resists the full culmination of light and ecstasy. This decision has little to do with the moment itself. Instead, it's a culmination of all we've done up to that point to define who or what we serve above all else. If we're clear about this, then surrender becomes possible, for in that moment of radical and total surrender, we know for sure into whose arms we commit ourselves.
In a discussion of popular notions of the second coming, Sparrow comments, "Many would agree that there is a sense of that humanity collectively stands on the verge of either collapse or divinely mediated transformation. Not since the days of the early church, when the disciples and their followers went about proclaiming Christ's imminent return, have so many people embraced the idea of the second coming. There are numerous versions of how this might take place. At one end of the range of possibilities would be exclusively personal and private encounters with Christ. At the other end of the range would be physical appearances to masses of people."
Regarding his own views, Sparrow says, "When a person has had a Christ encounter, their lives are affected in ways equivalent to having seen Christ physically incarnate, if they are able to let their lives be impacted and changed by it. Since an encounter can have that impact, it may be a prelude to a wider, more collectively perceived phenomenon, either interior or possibly an external event. It could be that we're approaching a critical mass, whereby if enough people have the experience of Christ inwardly, then something will start to manifest outwardly."
Sparrow says he and his wife pray that we may see him in whatever form he takes. It is an ultimate challenge, to be ready to see beyond the form to the truth of the matter. Recognizing the Christ when he comes will be a crucial test of our understanding of his teachings, Sparrow contends. If he comes in a contemporary form, or one contrary to our ideal of him, our response will reveal if the form of Christ's manifestation is more important than the essence clothed by that form.
One man, in witness to his return, dreamed of being invited on a speaking tour with Jesus. When he arrived, he found that Jesus was bald, wore a pinstriped suit, and looked like his Uncle Ed. During the 2-week tour, he observed the audience reaction. Some became indignant and quickly left. Some were impressed but cautious. Some showed no doubt as to his being the Christ. The dreamer finally asked Jesus why he looked so different from his expectation.
Jesus answered, "Of course everyone would come to see me if I descended from the clouds in a white robe with angels attending. But that's not my purpose. I'm here to separate the wheat from the chaff. Those who truly know me will recognize me in spirit. The rest will not know me. In this way, I am gathering my true followers."
In some dream experiences, Jesus bids the dreamer to leave all and come follow him, just as he called his disciples 2,000 years ago. Sparrow received such a call in a dream. "I am sleeping in a one-room house in which my family lives. I am aware of other family members milling around the room even while I sleep. I realize that I'm in Palestine at the time of Jesus. As I sleep, I dream that Jesus calls me to leave my family and follow him. I awaken and tell my parents what has happened. Without regrets, I leave the house on my own and set out to find him."
After reading Witness to His Return, one may spend some days in expectation of such an experience. One may sense the possibility of an expansion beyond the normal scope and become aware of the veils that obscure our vision. Sparrow's book makes these encounters seem possible and imminent, not just for medieval saints and mystics, but for those of us who walk the earth today.
Editor's note: Benjamin Creme has written and repeatedly stated that the Christ Maitreya appears to people in 3 ways: in dreams, the most common mode, as a vision, and as a solid physical experience. The Master Jesus, at least to Christians, does likewise.
You're listening to the World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Our next article is sourced from the 1996 January-February double issue of Share International magazine. It's titled Encounters with Angels and begins,
Angels are increasingly in the news and were featured in a UK television documentary, Entertaining Angels Unawares, shown by ITV Carlton on the 19th of December 1995, where the subject was treated in a sensitive and factual way.
Since biblical times, when angels heralded the birth of Jesus, angels have been seen by people all over the world. Most major religions acknowledge the existence of angelic beings and explain their functions in different ways, from the feathered people or the winged ones of the Native American Indians to the cherubim and seraphim, the angels and archangels of the Christian Church.
A national poll taken in America showed that 69% of the population believe in angels, and that 32% reported an angel encounter. This means that 81 million people in the United States may have met an angel. The earliest recorded reference to angels is over 10,000 years old. The counterbalancing parapsychologist on the program described angels as a kind of hallucination created by one's own culture and beliefs. Since personal experience is not scientifically provable, some experts think it better to discount it altogether. Others say that what may be the most important thing in a person's life should indeed be shared and spoken about.
10 present-day angel encounters were reconstructed on screen, some connected with healings, some giving practical help, and some providing comfort or reassurance in times of distress or anxiety, or bringing about a change in lifestyle. Each case was described by the one, sometimes more than one, to whom the angel appeared, and left only the most sceptical viewer with any doubt that these encounters were real experiences.
A dramatic story was told by Anne Kennedy of Southern America of how the blackest man rang her front doorbell and was admitted by her husband. He called her by her name and said that God had sent him to tell her that her cancer was healed. He had deep, rich blue eyes, and his teeth were like bright lights when he spoke. Before he left, he extended the palm of his glowing right hand towards her, and she felt a light move through her whole body, cleansing it throughout. Immediately afterwards, she telephoned her doctor to tell him she had been healed. The doctors later confirmed the cure.
An extraordinary story was told by 85-year-old Elizabeth Horton from Plymouth in England. One day she had been shopping in the supermarket because her home help could not come. As she was unloading her purchases from the supermarket trolley into her own, she became aware that a little old lady was standing by her, waiting, as she thought, to use the empty trolley. The old lady said no, she had come to take her home.
Mrs. Horton felt quite happy to accept the proffered help, and even allowed her helper to look after her shopping while she herself went to the newsagent, a thing she would never in the ordinary way have allowed a stranger to do, because she had other people's pensions in the trolley as well as her own. As she returned, she heard clearly in her head the words, "He will give his angels charge over you," and saw her helper transformed into a large, shining angel for a moment or two.
The little old lady guided her gently to the car park, where an elderly Victorian-looking gentleman was waiting to load the shopping into a car and drive all three to Mrs. Horton's bungalow, without asking where she lived. He carried the shopping right into her kitchen, but when she turned to thank her helpers, they were nowhere to be seen. She was sure that God had sent an angel to help her when she really needed it.
A third fascinating occurrence was described by Ellie Baker, who went to visit her critically ill husband in Germany. There she was allocated as interpreter a lady dressed from head to toe in black leather and with heavily made-up eyes, who sat with her for 3 days and 3 nights outside her husband's room.
In spite of Ellie's constant prayers and meditations, her husband's condition did not improve. However, following a full hour of prayer at his bedside, during which she called on the angels for help, she opened her eyes and saw a 10-foot-high golden angel standing at the foot of the bed. Then her husband opened his eyes and spoke to her. She was so overcome that she left the room in tears. Outside was her interpreter sitting with a harp in her hand, which she proceeded to play then and there. Thereafter, husband made what the doctors called a miraculous recovery.
Benjamin Krem's master confirms that the black man who called on Mrs. Kennedy was Maitreya. The translator in black leather who played the harp was the Master Jesus. The angel who helped Mrs. Horton with her shopping was Maitreya, and the Victorian gentleman who drove her home was the Master Jesus. Benjamin Krem's master further confirms that this new and intense worldwide interest in angels is connected with the return of Maitreya to the everyday world. Benjamin Krem comments that, though angels do exist, it is the masters who appear in saving situations as angels, because people generally do not know about the presence of the masters themselves.
In this next article from Share International, May 1992, we reproduce, with acknowledgements to the New Zealand magazine New Idea, the following letter from one of their readers.
Dear Editor, ever since I was a child I have had premonitions, but the following incident is the strangest thing that has ever happened to me. I had gone to Rockhampton for a day's shopping, and as I drove into the car park at Kmart, a man who had parked on my left asked if I knew that there was a large bubble on the inside of one of my rear tyres. He said he was driving behind me when he saw it.
As my car was stationary and the bubble couldn't be seen, he asked me to move my car forward, but the fault in the tyre still wasn't visible. He suggested that I go get it checked. I then got into my car to reverse it into the parking space. As I did so, I turned to give the man a wave, but to my amazement he was nowhere to be seen, and a woman was driving into the space he had occupied.
I asked her if she had seen the man in his car, as I hadn't heard him start the engine or seen him drive off. She looked at me strangely, so I told her what had happened. She said she hadn't seen the man or his car at all, and had wondered why I looked so surprised at seeing her there.
After doing my shopping, I went to the tyre place and told them what had happened, asking if they could check the tyre. They couldn't believe that anyone driving behind me could have seen a bubble on the inside of a tyre. Much to their surprise, when they removed the tyre and checked it on their machine, there was a bubble, just as the stranger had described it. My guardian angel was certainly looking after me.
I still can't work out how that gentleman could have left without me seeing him. As there were cars parked in front, he couldn't have driven straight through, and with the lady driving into the space beside me, he couldn't have reversed. Did he exist, or was it one of those strange phenomena, or was it a guardian angel looking after me?
Throughout history, people have claimed to have seen angels at the place where heaven and earth meet. Many religions and cultures include angels in their beliefs and folklore. There are countless stories of lives being saved by the timely appearance of a guardian angel.
I recently read a very inspiring book about sightings of angels and how they have saved the lives of many credible people. It's called A Book of Angels by Sophie Burnham, published by Ballantine Books, New York. It contains reflections on angels past and present, and true stories of how they have touched our lives. Sourced from New Idea, 14th of March, 1992. Editor's note, Benjamin Krem's master confirms that the angel was Maitreya.
Our final article is by the master, as given through Benjamin Krem, and featured in the January-February 1996 issue of Share International magazine, titled The Masters Enter Man's Domain. It begins.
Whenever mankind is afraid, it turns to God or the angels for help and assurance. Thus it is today, in the midst of man's deepening crisis. On all sides, the cry for help arises, and, in answer to that cry, the agents of God respond.
We, the architects of the new time, know that deep in the hearts of all men lies a firm belief in higher help and guidance, and it is our joy and our age-old duty to provide them. Slowly, but very surely, man's awareness grows of the unseen forces which surround him, and which are ever ready to succour and aid him.
That man mistakes the identity of these forces is not important, masters or angels. Few there are who know the truth. When we, the brethren, appear as angels, we do so in accordance with the law of recognition. In this way, men know that they are not alone. When higher evolution permits, we need no subterfuge, and demonstrate our true appearance. Thus it is that some see angels, while others recognize the brotherhood.
More than ever before, our dealings with men in daily fashion proceed apace. Whenever opportunity permits, we render service and make our presence known. In this way, men realize that the time of times is approaching. that the great Lord is with us, that the isolation of man has come to an end.
Whether men see us as angels or as men, they will know that help is ever available. They have only to ask. That the help invoked may not correspond to their desires is a lesson which must be learned. We work ever within the law and the plan, and fashion our aid accordingly.
Angels in myriads there are, but they touch not yet the lives of men. A time is coming, however, when these unseen forces will offer to men their healing power and knowledge, and safely enter man's province.
Meanwhile, we, the teachers, the elder brothers of men, act to bridge the gulf between the kingdoms. Thus can we safely oversee the congruence of men and angels. We are the go-betweens, the willing helpers of both men and the devic forces, the ever-present administrators of God's plan and purpose, the alleviators of suffering, and the agents of God's love.
Soon, in large numbers, men will see us, know us for what we are. We are your brothers, gone ahead before you, your willing guides and helpers, your higher intermediaries, your mentors and teachers, your muses and inspirers, your faithful servants and eternal lovers. We answer your call for succour and enter your domain.
And that's our programme for today.
To inquire about Share International magazine subscriptions or our monthly free of charge newsletter, the number is 04 234 1133, or write to PO Box 9576, Wellington.
Thank you for listening to us on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM, and please tune in to our next World Teacher programme on Saturday the 27th of September at the usual time of 10 a.m.
You can listen again to this programme and previous ones by visiting share-international-nz.info and click on the radio tab.